Right now, we are in Port Arthur, where many residents still are without power. But in this neighborhood, they're dealing with something a little bit more than that.
It was terrible. The lights went off at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Hours after severe storms caused a sleepless night for many Southeast Texans, how residents and business owners are still feeling the weather's wrath.
This is really unexpected thing that, this is happening.
Strong wind and rain leads to major fire damage in Cheek, what one business owner believes may have been the cause. Well, a lot going on overnight in parts of Southeast Texas. High wind, heavy rain, lightning leading to damage in some neighborhoods.
Also leading to a lot of power outages tonight across Southeast Texas. Chief Meteorologist Greg Bostwick joins us now with a look at our first forecast. Greg?
Well, the good news, we do not see anything like that coming our way tonight. In fact, it should be quiet tonight up at Rayburn Country. A little bit dark in the distance there, some buildups here and there. And a guy doing a little fishing there. And they have water there. It's as slick as it can be. But they had hailstones falling in there, remember, yesterday. So it's quite a difference there. Boy, East Chambers Media Center now, we reset these stations at midnight. It automatically does that. So this gust of 63 was just after midnight. Just before midnight, 70 miles per hour. So right close to hurricane force, 75 degrees there. And we had 60, 70 mile per hour gusts all through mid-county. Radar fairly active in the Gulf, but that's a long ways from us. And as we head to the west, not much happening there. So good news, a few storms out toward Victoria. The only activity we can see right now is well to our north, and it's moving away up around Pineland and Hemp Hill, moving rapidly to the north. So we're fine for tonight. We're a little bit concerned about tomorrow morning, especially after daybreak into the afternoon. More thunderstorms are pretty likely. The good news, they should have a lot less wind and hopefully a lot less rain. We'll take a look at the Mother's Day forecast as well in a few minutes.
Right now, about 28,000 Entergy customers remain without power.
In the peak of the storm, more than 55,000 customers were left in the dark. The hardest hit area remains in Mid and South Jefferson County, Nederland, Port Neches, Groves, and especially Port Arthur. All those areas you see in red are customers without power at this hour. Now, Entergy says in Port Arthur, at least 2 transformer banks were damaged. Approximately 6 poles were knocked down, more than 1,000 feet of wire on the ground. Trees have also fallen across equipment, which is causing a slower restoration. Entergy officials telling us they are considering this widespread outage more like a hurricane restoration than the aftermath of a thunderstorm.
KFDM's Cassidy Wood is live tonight in Port Arthur, where thousands are still in the dark. Cassidy, what is Entergy's plan for the rest of the night and the coming days over there?
Yeah, Greg and Tiffany. Well, as you mentioned, right now they are trying to get power back in these areas. Now, this neighborhood still is without power, but that's not the only thing they're dealing with. As you can see, this sign, which is typically bolted onto a pole, flew off and was found in the middle of the street down there about a ways. So that speaks to how aggressive these winds were last night. And I'm going to walk a little bit back this way. This tree behind me, not only did the homeowners, wake up dealing with a power outage and worrying about spoiling food, stuff like that, but they came outside to see a tree almost hitting their home. Now, neighbors in the area tied a wire. They came out, they tied a wire to the tree. I don't know if you saw our Facebook Live, but you can go there and watch it all happen in real time. It was pretty nerve-wracking for the homeowner. For me, I thought the tree was actually going to hit this home, and the neighbors were able to pull it back, crack it backwards, so no damage was caused to the home. And neighbors living in the area say this is not the only home that this has happened to. A bunch of neighbors came outside to see that. So this whole neighborhood just kind of had to band together and help each other prevent any damage from hitting their homes. So that speaks to the neighbors who live in this area. And so that's it for now in Port Arthur. We'll have a full story for you guys at 10 o'clock. But for now, live in Port Arthur, I'm Cassidy Wood, KFDM 6 News.
Well, this power outage comes at what's normally a very busy time for merchants and restaurants. Mother's Day weekend, right?
It is. Those business owners are hoping the big blackout doesn't put them in the red. KFDM's Angel San Juan spent the day in Port Arthur. He joins us tonight in the studio. So, Angel, how's the city faring?
Well, Tiffany, as we all know, Port Arthur is still a city in recovery from Harvey. So this is definitely a setback, especially since there's no exact timetable for power to be fully restored. The home of the Jumbo Jack became the target of a jumbo storm overnight, forcing manager Twyla Peacock to get to work much earlier than her regular shift.
Water, like we had a flood. It was just water everywhere.
Plenty of water, but no power. The same weather system that uprooted trees and flooded this Jack-in-the-Box split utility poles and downed electrical wires,
It was terrible. The lights went off at 2 o'clock in the morning.
leaving almost the entire city of Port Arthur in the dark.
We have a school district that's closed and a lot of businesses that's closed. I think the refineries are going, but the economic impact is something.
Jefferson County Commissioner Michael Senegal knows his community is still suffering from Harvey and worries about the impact of a prolonged outage.
Everybody's been pretty patient. I'm starting to get the calls and the city being very patient. They're just wondering how long. I'm a little leery about that many people without power, that is something major that's going wrong.
And since school was canceled, Peacock had her 11-year-old daughter to help with cleanup. Unexpected bonding time right before Mother's Day. More good news while we were there.
Everybody's power just came back on in the area. I think McDonald's is still out down there and Walmart's still out.
But until all power is restored, Commissioner Senegal says this weather-weary community remains on edge.
They had the same feeling, like the same anxiety when Harvey hit. I said, well, no, I don't think it's going to be that bad, but we just have to pray.
A lot of folks praying tonight. Entergy expects to have estimated times of restoration sometime after 7 tonight. We'll keep you updated. Tiffany?
Thanks, Angel. Meantime, a Port Arthur woman says she believes her home and several in her neighborhood were hit by a tornado. Lila Washington says she heard loud banging around 1:30 this morning in the 400 block of Drummond Street. When she went out to assess the damage, she says a piece of her roof was blown off and water was coming inside of her home. Several FEMA trailers along the street were also damaged. In other parts of southeast Texas, some homeowners are in good spirits after yesterday's storm. Others, though, not so much.
KFDM's Quentin Hope shares how those living in LaBelle are assessing the damage there.
LaBelle homeowners are a little shaken up following Thursday night's storm.
Right before midnight, the lights went off for the final time, and it got pretty interesting around here.
Fences blown down, power lines ripped and lying across the road, roofs partially torn apart, and trees shredded into pieces.
The thunder and lightning was so consistent and so loud you couldn't really hear anything.
Alan Peltier lives off Highway 365. The storm knocked down this tree in his yard. He's not sure if what he heard Thursday night was a tornado. There's no confirmation of that, but he knows he heard something.
I've never heard that whole train coming thing that I hear old timers talk about, but I did last night, and it was right down the highway, and there was a gentleman that left to go to work that said he actually seen a twister during the lightning bolts.
Homeowners we talked to said it felt like a tornado swept through the town. This homeowner says he's been through a handful of hurricanes, but last night's storm scared him the most. He's fortunate that this pecan tree just missed his house. But one homeowner just miles down the road was not as fortunate. She did not want to talk on camera, but says the storm knocked down a tree. It pierced the home, almost hitting her grandchildren. Despite all that, Peltier remains in good spirits. After going through storms like Harvey, he's learned a thing or two.
When you walk outside after something like this, you can think of 100 things you should have done. We've got some things that we don't batten down because we take it for granted, but kind of keep things fastened down because you never know when this is going to happen.
In LaBelle, Quentin Hope, KFDM 6 News.
And we are told, and let's reemphasize this, there is no confirmation of any tornadoes in southeast Texas and no injuries to report as well. Happening now, firefighters are working to determine if a business and home in Cheek caught fire as a result of lightning or downed power lines from last night's storm.
KFDM's Tan Radford is live tonight along State Highway 124 in Jefferson County where that fire happened. So Tan, how bad is the damage out there?
Greg and Tiffany, take a look at this home. It's completely burned, nothing left but the front porch. And across the street, a donut shop where the owner says he believes the fire started through the power lines.
They heard that big boom, so that's how it gets started.
Flames engulfed Dawn Donuts in a home on Highway 124 in Cheek, leaving nothing behind.
Totally in shock, just like I never seen that happen before. This is the first time ever, and I was just sad to see this gone like that.
Ming Miss opened Don Donuts 5 years ago and was shocked by the call he received around 2 this morning.
And I answered the phone and said, hey, the building on fire. It's like, what?
Not only his building, but a home across the street where a pastor and his wife lived for more than 40 years.
The house next door to us burned down first and we second.
As you can see, they're Castle Parish, and we can only pray for the family.
Fire officials aren't sure if the cause was lightning or power lines. Miss has his own belief.
It started from from the pole, and from there the wires is burning down to the building and also to his house.
The family inside the home escaped the fire and there was no one at the business.
So we all say, so that's a good thing. It's a building, this is a material thing, so it's all right.
We work in Southeast Texas, so we pull each other up and keep on going and don't worry about what else is happening, but make sure we help each other.
Red Cross is assisting the family here, and the donut shop does plan to file an insurance claim. Live in Cheek, I'm Tan Radford, KFDM 6 News.
A $2.6 million home south of Houston also engulfed in flames during the peak of last night's storm. It's not known yet if that fire at the mansion in Friendswood was caused by the weather. A woman and her son were inside at the time of the fire, but they were able to escape safely.
Flooding in Houston is expected to continue throughout the weekend. Swollen rivers, creeks, and bayous could contribute to damage if heavy rains fall over the same locations. Many streets already inundated. One driver had to be rescued after their car flipped in a ditch, and portions of I-10 were closed in both directions because of high water in Houston.